Welcome to Haunting Live Podcast, a place where we bring a new paranormal guest each episode to share their journey and experiences.
I've been psychic most of my life. I had a general feeling of things that were going to happen before they happened, and never really understood what it was because it was so natural to me that, I just assumed everyone else could do the same thing.
Are you looking for that hard to find item, spiritual item that your loved one wants to always get, but you don't know where to check out? Why not check us out here on hauntinglivepodcast.com? Underneath our store, though, we actually have tons of items from dream catchers, crystals, so many more for you. Check us out underneath hauntinglivepodcast.com.
Check out Divine Oracle Podcast with your hosts Gypsy Lady Eva and Brother Chris as they discuss spiritual topics and current events. Sit back and listen. I mean, popping.
All right, welcome to this episode of Haunting Live Podcast, and we have a wonderful guest, a fellow Canadian guest, in fact, and she is all the way in Calgary, actually, so we welcome her to the show. Welcome, Marina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this. I think this should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on, especially being in Canada, so it's nice to have a guest that's
Yes.
sort of local. That's wonderful. And you're known as Centered Tarot, so can you explain a little bit about your channel, how that came about, and a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. I've been psychic most of my life. I had a general feeling of things that were going to happen before they happened, and never really understood what it was because it was so natural to me that, I just assumed everyone else could do the same thing. So yeah, I kind of walked away from my abilities for a little while, and then started to get back into them just before the COVID hit, and I was I was guided at that point by spirit to make my own oracle deck, tarot or oracle deck, and I kind of went against the idea because I thought, no, I'm not an artist. I'm not overly creative unless I have instructions. So no, 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 I didn't want that. And yet they were very persistent in that that's what they wanted me to do. So I finally sort of gave up in a very petulant way. And I remember the conversation that I had with Spirit. I said, fine, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. And you'll see, it'll be total crap. And then I never have to hear about this again. It's not going to work. And so I did. I bought some blank tarot cards and spent a couple days with Spirit as following whatever it was that it wanted me to do. And before I knew it, I had this deck. And so I thought, okay, well, this is great. Now what? Now what do I do with it? I asked a couple friends to send me questions that they would want me to use this new deck with, and questions about things that we hadn't discussed in the past. That way I couldn't, kind of rely on, oh, well, I remember you saying, and so on. And I did. I pulled the cards and they told a story, and it was very intriguing in that the cards were very accurate. So shortly after that, again, I got a message to start a YouTube channel. And I thought, oh, I'm not a techie person. I know nothing about that. And, everybody's on YouTube. I'm just going to be one of many. But again, it was very persistent. And so I said, okay, fine. I'll start a YouTube channel. And I was thinking about a name. What was it that I wanted to call this channel? And I very distinctly heard Heart-Centered Tarot. But okay, all right. And I did the numerology on the name, and it was very positive numerology. And then I had to think of, okay, well, when am I going to launch this? So I launched it, I think it was April 24th, 2021. And again, it was a very auspicious day. So launched the channel and thought, all right, I'll do some political readings and, kind of see how that goes. So that was the start of the channel, was me doing recorded readings on current political situations and the people involved and so on. From there, it kind of naturally morphed into doing personal readings online, into doing readings for people who wanted private readings, and it's just slowly growing very organically. So that the intention wasn't to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to be an influencer and I'm going to make $1 million. No, that wasn't it. It was very much trying to share the message. And at that point, even with political readings, my message was more one of positivity. Even when things are looking a little dire, if there's challenges, there's always something very positive behind it if we just allow ourselves to see what that is. So that's kind of where, how the channel started, where it's gone, what I've been doing with it, and it's I'm having a ball. I love doing this. I really enjoy it.
Well, that's really important for you too, to enjoy what you're doing, right? Because you have
Yes,
to have that drive, that passion to keep doing that and make it work for yourself as well. So that's good that you enjoy
exactly.
it.
Yes, yeah, very much, very much. And the more that I do it, the more that I find myself being led by spirit in terms of what it wants me to do, how it wants me to do it, and it's opened up my abilities in ways that I couldn't even conceive of way back in April 2021. I just thought that I would be doing strictly tarot card readings. Um, but no, it came, the mediumship came online, so that I was getting messages from people that were on the other side. I don't see spirits. I feel them, and I get impressions of what the person on the other side is like, what they look like. It's some people are very clairvoyant in that they can see it. I don't. I simply get the impression. And then, yeah, from there, I started to get messages from the Council of 13. Initially, I wasn't quite sure who I was communicating with. And then I was told that I am a member of this Council of 13, and my purpose is to help people by upgrading their DNA, so that they're going to be able to handle the transition when we go from 3D to 5D, so that it requires a little bit of DNA manipulation in order for us to be able um, to exist in that higher realm and to work in that higher realm. That's what I do when I'm sleeping.
Oh, good. You don't have to do it while you're awake doing your day job. You can just worry about that when you're sleeping. So,
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly.
okay, can you? That sounds really interesting. I did see that listed on your website that you do the Council of 13. So I was really interested in what
Yes.
that detailed. Can you maybe go a little bit more in depth into that and sort of explain how that helps people move on into that dimension, or what it does to prepare people for that?
Absolutely. The Because we are currently very much in a 3D world where things in the 3D dimension feel heavier, they feel denser, and the focus is more on the material rather than the spiritual, in terms of you need to work, you need to feed yourself, you need to have a home, you need to do some of these things. On a spiritual level, once we transition to that 5D, those things are not going to be as important as our sense of connectedness is going to be, our sense of being able to communicate with each other telepathically, and setting the groundwork for the age of Aquarius, for the new world, the things that are going to be a lot more beneficial. So we're going to be moving, and we are moving at the moment, from the material more into the spiritual. The council has given me certain information, and then there are things that they haven't yet shared with me. I honor that. I appreciate that. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And sometimes in that human experience, there is information that might come in that is just a little too, mind blowing. Like, how do you wrap your head around that? So I very much let them guide and tell me what they need me to do and so on. The first time actually that they specifically communicated a message, I had done a little ceremony on the first of the month, and I believe it was the 1st of February, and that was to blow cinnamon into the house and set the intention that this is going to bring in prosperity and abundance in all areas of my life, whether that was spiritual, financial, physical, whatever. I had no expectation of what form that would take. I just put it out into the universe. And within about half an hour, I was sitting at my computer. I was getting ready for a show that I was going to do. And I hear this voice that says, open up Word. So I went, okay, all right. So I opened up Word and I started to type. And I was conscious of the fact that I was typing. I was just not conscious of the fact of what it was that I was typing. I just sort of went with the flow, went into that energy and let it happen. And it was a wonderful message from the council saying, basically, we're here. We're helping you along this journey. We understand the need for free will and all that kind of earthly stuff, but we're here. You have to recognize that you're not on this journey alone, that there are people behind the scenes that are working with you, that are guiding you. And then, not only guiding me, but guiding everyone who was going to hear that message. Later on that day, when I did my show with Val from Dragonfly Crystals, and it's a show that we do every week, and I think we're coming up on episode 130, so that's a good long time we've been doing this. And I couldn't wait for her to get online so I could tell her I think I channeled a message. This is what I got. The feeling that I had after I channeled the message was so powerful and so high, so abundant. The energy was it felt like I was vibrating, and that stayed with me for a couple days. And it just kind of, even though I knew that I was connected spiritually, that kind of almost felt like the seal of approval. Like, yeah, you're not imagining things. We are talking to you. We are sharing the messages, and now your job is to share this with the world. Get it out there. Get the message out. No one is there alone. No one is on this journey, by themselves. The universe doesn't set up situations for you to fail so that they can, sit back and laugh and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe he or she fell for that. It's guidance that is propelling us forward to a much better, brighter future.
Sounds great. Sounds like you got some guidance from them and
Yes.
a direct message from them as well at the same time, confirming
Yes.
that you can actually do that, right? So they're for sure
Yes.
helping you, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. And they've come in several times with other messages. And one of them that really kind of resonates with me is, they what they had said was, you can't hear us if you fear us. That really, it always comes to mind. And I think that because we're getting to the point where more people are coming online with the idea of spirituality, of something higher than just ourselves here in this moment. I think that it's not going to be long before we are going to be connecting with not only spirit, the universe, but also with other galaxies. And the message is there is nothing to fear in communicating with those, right? So we have to let go of some of those preconceived notions that we have about um, you know what the ETs might look like, what their purpose might be, and so on. There is nothing to fear.
Yeah, I've heard that before, especially with ET encounters, that well,
Yes,
most of them anyway, are already on that level of communication. They have that
yes,
ability to communicate telepathy or other means like that. So, um,
yes.
do you feel that if you have that ability, are you able to communicate with them that way?
I think that I do. I haven't really kind of sat down and delved deep into that because it's a feeling of knowing. It's just a sense of, yeah, I know I can, I know I do. So I'm not that concerned with finding validation for that, right? I don't have to dig deep into it and go, well, am I really getting this or am I not? Shortly after I got the initial message, I had a situation where I was woken up in the middle of the night by someone banging on the outside of my bedroom wall. Now, my bedroom, the house that I'm in, the bedroom is quite off the ground, so it's not like someone could have walked by and did that. So it woke me up out of a sound sleep, and I heard three distinct bangs. And I thought, okay, well, it must be a dream, right? I'm just dreaming. I'm hearing things. I went back to sleep, and a little while later, I was woken up again, and it was the bang, bang, bang. And I looked out the window, and there's nothing there. It's not there. There's no reason for that noise to be there. So I went back to sleep. The third time, the third time that I was woken up, I thought, okay, that's it. Enough. Like I need to sleep. I heard the bang again, and I thought, all right. And I remember saying out loud, oh, you want to play? Let's play. So the wall that the sound came from, I knocked three times, and the sound went away. And it dawned on me the next day that, okay, what that whole little process was, Marina, do you hear us? Bang, bang, bang. Do you hear us? Until I said yes. So yeah, I haven't had that since then. Um, but I'm also more aware when I get impressions, when I get feelings, when I get messages, that it's just I intuitively trust them. I don't question them. I just say thank you and carry on with it. So that was a little different, but it's humorous in a way too, like banging on my wall.
Well, they tend to do that, don't they, when they communicate with us? They have humorous ways of doing it to get their point across.
Yes,
They don't just try to beam into your mind. They have this way of making sure you understand that, yeah, that's spiritual communication, right? So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they do have a good sense of humor. That sometimes they'll flash lights at me, or things will go a little wonky when I least expect them. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, something's coming in. I gotta pay attention. Sorry, guys, I can't come out and play. Yeah, gotta do some homework. So yeah, it's I enjoy the relationship a lot.
Great. Speaking of that, how long have you had your spiritual connection then? Was it since you were a child growing up, or was that something you had to sort of develop along your journey, or can you tell us a little bit about how you connected with spirit?
No, it was something that I've had all my life. It wasn't something that I really kind of had to work on. Um, I was always sensitive in picking up the things that other people were going through. And as a child, of course, you don't have the comprehension or the language to be able to describe it. You just know that someone's energy feels off. And then, I would hear later on as the adults are talking that, yes, so and so just, they lost a husband, or, this happened or that happened. And it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what I'm picking up on. It was always a case of just just knowing that the ability was there, and not having the wherewithal or the emotional intelligence to be able to put any kind of a label that we would understand on it. So I distinctly remember I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was in school, and we had during one of the classes anyway, the teacher said that a nurse would be coming in with the doctor, and that it was time for us to get our inoculations, our boosters, or whatever that was. I didn't mention I wasn't born in Canada. I was originally born in Croatia, which at that time was part of the former Yugoslavia. So the inoculations in school and so on it wasn't anything unusual. It was just something that happened. I'm not very good when it comes to needles. So if I know ahead of time that something is going to involve needles, I do tend to get into a little bit of a state, and I'll pass out. In this particular case, because it happened so quickly, I didn't really have a chance to kind of react to it. And I remember when my turn came, and I went up and I got the inoculation, and I went back to my desk and I kind of put my head down. And the next thing that I know, I'm looking up, and my grandmother is looking down at me, and she's pale. She's really concerned. And the doctor is telling her, we don't know what happened, but her heart stopped. And I thought, what? What what are you people talking about? So apparently that is what happened. I don't remember if I went to the other side. I just know that there was no fear. There was nothing uncomfortable about the experience, except that yeah, my grandmother is over top of me and is concerned about what had just happened. Now, also need to point out that, at that time, and especially in a communist country, telephones were not all over the place. And my school was probably about 10 minutes away from our house. So someone from the school had to run over to my grandmother's house to get her so that they could run back in. I never thought at that time to ask someone what happened. It was just it was an event, and it was something that I recognized as being important, but again, I didn't need to delve into it and find out what it was. So it's entirely possible that, maybe I did go to the other side. I don't know. I don't know. I just know the circumstance. Um, And shortly after that happened, not only could I pick up on people's feelings, but I would get a sense of when something was going to happen, when someone was going to either transition, or if there was going to be an accident or anything that needed um, to kind of put out a little bit of a warning. Again, I just thought everybody else could do the same thing. So um, even though I would mention it to my family, they never dismissed what I was saying, but they also never encouraged what I was saying. because it was something that, you didn't, it was very much hush hush. You don't discuss things because you never know who's listening, right? So, but that particular incident, I think, kind of, it just brought more gifts in.
That's what I was kind of thinking as you were talking there. Like that is probably the point where things kicked off for you, where you got a connection to the other side or the spiritual side, and you started receiving your abilities at that point. Especially
Absolutely.
if there was no feeling to it, right? You just sort of accepted it and you received
Yes.
whatever you were getting. So yeah,
Yes, exactly. And then I got into, um, during my teen years, um, I would I would read cards from my friends, and at that point, I just had a regular deck of playing cards, and that's a tool that I would use to kind of do readings for them, and it was pretty accurate. Um, and then, of course, I met someone and I got married. While he could appreciate my gifts in terms of what they could do for him, he also had a good bit of animosity or jealousy towards what I was doing. So, he would ask me that, well, something funky's going on at work. What are you picking up? What's happening? And I could tune into it and tell him. And then at the same time, when other people would ask me to tune into something, he would say, "Oh, be careful, she's a witch." And that kind of it played with my head. It got into my mind. And at that point, I wasn't spiritually strong enough to kind of put up the shield and protect myself. So I kind of went inward. And at that point, I kind of hid the gifts. They were always there. I just didn't really share them all that much. And it wasn't until, yeah, probably the late 1990s, early 2000s, somewhere in there, that I was able to kind of fully embrace that and say, yes, it's part of who I am. Whether you want to put a label on it, whether you want to call me a witch, that's okay. Yeah, call me a witch. It's okay. I see it as a badge of honor, not as something to be ashamed of. I think a lot.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, that's a good way to look at things because it's definitely a badge of honor if it's something that you accept in your life.
Yes.
Like you accepted those abilities, so you accept gift you have. So that's great too. Yeah.
Yes. And I think a lot of spiritual people kind of go through some of the same experience where they doubt, they kind of hide their gift until it gets to a point that you can't hide it anymore. You have to acknowledge it. You have to give it the reverence and respect that it requires. And then things really shift from there. That's when good things start to happen. And um, the more that you find to be grateful for, the more that comes in for you to be grateful for.
It's all about kind of law of attraction, right? Because the more you put into it, the more you
Yes,
attract to yourself. So, like, you accept
yes,
the abilities, you accepted that, you wear it like a badge, like you said, and then you attract
yes,
more positivity to your life as well. So that's good too. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know what, everybody has these abilities. We are all parts of the divine. Each and every one of us has those gifts. It's just a matter of accepting them and working with them. The only difference between me and anybody else out there is I practice the craft. That's it. I'm not in any way special or above anyone else. I simply practice the craft. It's the same, if you wanted to play the piano at Carnegie Hall, you don't just go out and buy a piano and say, "Hey, Carnegie Hall, I'm available." You take lessons, you practice, and then you end up on stage. So, I'm always very encouraging of, when people say, "Oh, I just had a feeling about that." Go with it. Don't dismiss it. Go with it. What is the lesson it's trying to teach you?
So here's a question for you then. How do you personally take that gift that you have and put that into your readings when you're using your tarot cards or your oracle cards? Is there a way that you do that with your cards?
Yes, there is, and one of the things that I sort of had to learn how to do, and that was to take um, to take my ego out of the equation, to absolutely put it aside, and to come to terms with the fact that I don't need to pay attention to whether I'm right or wrong. What I need to do is deliver the message. And it's up to the person who is getting the message to make sense of it. I don't need to interpret it for them. I'm simply the conduit that it comes through. So it doesn't need to make sense to me. It doesn't need to, coincide with anything else I've said. I just give in to the idea that the person who is getting the message, they may not get the message that they want. They're going to get the message they need. And my job, aside from delivering it, is to step out of the way, is to just let it come in. So,
And you do that for your personal readings for clients as well as when you're doing
yes,
political readings, right? Or
absolutely.
are
Yeah,
those kind of two
absolutely.
different things?
Well, in some ways they are two different things because with the political readings, I'm tuning into sort of the energy of the moment and recognizing that, everyone has free will. So it's not a case of making predictions and saying that, next Tuesday at 3:12 p.m. this and this and this is going to happen. Um, because there one little thing, like if the butterfly flaps its wings in Africa, and a storm is caused on the other side of the world, right? Because we don't, um, all those things are connected. So the political readings are more. They are guided somewhat by the knowledge of politics and being able to explain things and explain the energies in a way that people can understand what is going on, giving them examples that they can say, oh, okay, I can see how that goes together. With the personal readings, it is very much me stepping out of the way and just letting whatever messages come through, and having enough faith and trust that spirit isn't testing me. They're there to support me. They're going to give me the information that I need at that particular moment, and they're going to give me the right amount of information. They're not going to give me too much, and they're also not going to give me too little. They're going to give me just exactly what I need.
Do you want to now maybe share some of your experiences you've had along your journey? Some interesting tidbits or weird things that have happened to you? I know you've told a little bit about your journey so far, but do you have anything else you'd like to share?
Well, my grandmother, who was, she was also, and well, let me go back and rephrase that. Um, I do come from a long line of people who have been psychically connected. It was just something that was never openly discussed. And my grandmother on my father's side, again, it was in the middle of the night that I heard rapping on my window, and I looked up, and she was outside of my bedroom window. We were in Canada at that time. She was still back in Croatia. And she said, I've come to say goodbye. I was sorry that I couldn't see you. I'd hoped that I would see you this summer, but I have I have to go. And I thought, wow, that's weird. Um, so yeah, I woke up in the morning and I'm talking to my parents, and I was a little surprised that my dad was home because at that point he would have been at work. And they both looked upset. And so I said, "Hey, you guys, what's going on? What happened? I had the weirdest dream." And my mother said, "Well, what were you dreaming about?" And I said, "Grandma came and visited me last night, and she's sorry that I didn't have a chance to go visit her this summer, but that she had to go." And both of them just kind of like jaw dropping. And my dad said, "We just got a telegram. She passed away." I thought, oh, oh, okay. Again, no freak out, no, oh my God, what just happened? It was like, okay, yeah, like it made sense, right? Totally. Um, in reading, sometimes I get again messages that don't make any sense to me, but they don't need to make sense to me. And one of my favorite ones is I was doing a reading with another well-known medium, and we were doing readings for people in the chat, and there was one particular lady who asked if there was any messages from her sister. And I got an image of this, very nicely dressed lady who was kind of smirking and, kind of going, what's with the roots? And I thought, if I say that out loud, people are going to think I'm nuts. But there it is. So I said to her, well, this is how she's coming forward. And she's asking what's with the roots. So, take it for what it is. And she was trying to think of it, and she's, no, 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 it doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. I'm not doing anything with it, and so on. So I thought, well, okay, we'll just leave it for a little while. And she came back about 20 minutes later, and she said, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. I know exactly what she's talking about. She said, I have recently stopped dyeing my hair. And she said, and that would be exactly like my sister wanting to say, why are you letting yourself go? What's with the roots? And it was like, see, there you go. There you go. So there's it there's so many of those little things like that come through that experiences wide, driving down the road and get a sense that okay, I need to turn right. All right, we'll turn right. Why are we turning right? Oh my gosh, look, there's a garage sale going on, and I had just mentioned to someone that, I'm going on a trip and I'm looking for a new set of luggage, but have you seen the prices of luggage and so on? And there is a set of luggage, brand new, been used once, and boom, it's there, and it's, well, yeah, we just need to get rid of them. They're taking up room in the attic. It's like, okay. Yeah, little things like that.
Yeah, that's one thing I
So
like about Spirit. They will guide you to what you need. I had experience once when we moved to a new house, and
whoops.
it was like we hadn't unpacked everything yet, obviously, and it was the next morning. I had to get up and go to work. I knew I left my keys right there in the middle of the counter where I would see
Yes,
them. The time I go to grab them to leave, they're not there.
they're not there.
But
Yes,
it was the spirit that was
yes,
in our house at the time. We found out who he was and stuff and everything, and I just asked them to, okay, please put my keys back. I need to go to work. And then looked
yes,
around for another 5 minutes and came back to the kitchen and we're there in the same spot. So,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Thank you for sharing some of your interesting stories and your experiences along your journey. It's been wonderful hearing what you do and how you went along your journey and your path. So, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. This has been a lot of fun, and I do want to mention one of the events that I've been doing for a little while now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's close to my heart, um, and that is called the Shine Your Light event. And this was something that the information about the event was given to another reader back in October of last year. And she got in touch with me and said, I've my guides have told me I need to put this thing together. And basically, it's an event where people can get together and kind of share the positivity, share messages of positivity, but also about love, light, compassion, and humanity as we go forward. And she was given the name of the event, which is Shine Your Light. And one of the ways that we encourage people to shine your light is at the top of the hour, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we ask people to turn on the porch lights. And this is after we set the intention and we say a prayer, so that collectively all our energies are focused on that one good positive thing. And then we repeat the process at 7 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, and so on. So we did several events together, and we invite different speakers, different modalities to share their positivity. And I think it was in either January or February that she approached me and she said, "Look, I've been told by my guides that this is your thing now. This is what you have to do." And she said, "I'm going to step back and there's other things that I'm going to be concentrating on, but apparently you're supposed to take this over." So I always want to make sure, because I'm grateful for the experience, I always want to make sure that I share that information, so that I am being respectful not only of her but of her guides. And I'm grateful for the gift that they have given me. So we do the Shine Your Light event once a month. This month it's happening again on Saturday, June the 28th. And we start on my channel at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we go until we've hit 7 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. And then we do a like a group healing, a group whatever sort of avenue that Spirit wants to take us on. But it is as a collective to send out that energy of light, love, compassion, and humanity wherever it might be needed in the world. And I think it's working. Yeah. So that's the pet project right now that I am extremely passionate about, because the benefit of it is tremendous.
Yeah, I did notice a shift lately, so I think people's energies
Yes.
are changing. Yeah,
Yes,
for the better.
absolutely. And if anyone wants to join us for that, it doesn't cost anything. You're sharing energy, and that's great. And yeah, you can get more information on my YouTube channel, which is Heart Centered Tarot. You can go to my webpage, which is marinasheartcenteredtarot.com. Yeah, join us. The energy is fabulous. It is wonderful to be in all that positivity.
And we need it around here. So.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. So, Trevor, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I really,
I'm glad you had
enjoyed
fun,
it.
and that's a whole part of it too.
Yes.
I want my guests on the show to be comfortable and enjoy themselves too. It's not just about talking;
Absolutely.
it's about sharing and getting what you want out of it as well. So we're very happy to have you here.
Exactly. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
So much.
Miss one of our episodes? Replay your episodes on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Show your support for Haunting Live by supporting our broadcast partner, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Find them on YouTube. For more Haunting Live real experiences, be sure to follow us on our social on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and also Blue Sky. And don't forget to also check us out on our official website, hauntinglivepodcast.com.